Students, again we are going to continue with the chapter number 1 of computer science 2, that is introduction to microprocessor. So in today's session we are going to learn only a single question, but it is very big actually. That is the pin diagram of 8085 microprocessor. As you have learned, or we have used IC in 11th standard, which was having total 14 pins, right? So similarly this is again one kind of microprocessor only, 8085, but it is having total 40 pins, 40, 20 pins at one side and the 20 pins are present at the second side, opposite side. So, and each and every pin is having their specific usage, specific work related to the pins. So in today's session we are going to learn that thing only. First of all, you should remember the diagram. Again you will be having question on draw the diagram also for 4 to 3 marks. So you should draw this specific diagram. So in this diagram you should remember all the 40 pins. So basically if you see, that is at the left hand side we are having 1 to 20 numberings, and at the right hand side we are having 21 to 40 numbering, but from the down to top approach. From downside we have started the numbering with 21, that is continuation of 20 only. And as we have seen in 11th standard, that is 7 number pin was connected to the ground and 14 number pin that is connected to the positive terminal, right? So similarly here also, now it is 40 pins IC. So the pin number 20 will be attached to the ground and the pin number 40 is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, which will provide actually electricity. So the pin which we are connecting to the ground, that is called as VSS, okay, and the pin which we connect to the positive terminal, that is called as VCC. So pin number 20 and 40 are used for ground and positive terminal connection. Then now we are going to start with the pin number X1, X2, okay. So first pin is X1, X2. After that we are having reset out pin. Then we have SOD, serial output data. After that we are having SID, serial input data. These two terms we have used in one of the question which we have learned in previous lecture. Then we are having different types of interrupt. As we have learned, that is there is one function which is performed by the microprocessor, that is to give the appropriate response to the externally generated interrupts. So these are some pins which are used for the interrupt signaling purpose. So the first pin which is related to interrupt, that is trap. Then we are having RST 7.5, RST 6.5, RST 5.5. After that INTR, this is again related to interrupt only. And when we are generating the signal with the help of this particular pin INTR, after generation the system should give us some acknowledgement. So that acknowledgement will be given on the pin number 11, who is labeled as INTA, interrupt acknowledgement. Then we have learned that we are having different types of buses. So we are having address buses, total 16 address buses are there. Address buses are unidirectional. Then we have learned data buses. We are having total 8 data buses which are bidirectional in nature, right? So in one question I have also explained that 16 address bus plus 8 data bus, so total 24 bus lines we are not having. We are having only 16 bus lines. So out of which 8 bus lines are sometimes used as a data bus, okay. So now again just see the numbering, we are having 16 address bus. So this is the reason why now we are going to have the numbering from AD0 to AD15. So just see the pin number 12 to pin number 19, we are having numbering as AD0 to AD7, okay. After that at the pin number 20 we are having ground connection. Then just see the numbering from pin number 21 to pin number 28. 21 to 28, remaining 8 address buses, that is A8 to A15 are present over there. So we are having only 16 data bus. So we should have the pin numbering for the pins from AD0 to AD15 only. And out of these 8 data buses are used as a, out of these 16 address buses, 8 are used as a data bus. So which are those, that we will learn in the theory part. But now I am just explaining the diagram because it is very important for you to remember this diagram also. After A15 bus line, we are having S0, and that is one of the input with the help of which the read and write operations are performed actually on the basis of the value of S0, which is present at the pin number 29, and just see the pin number 33 S1. So these are two serial inputs, S0 and S1, whose value we will set, and according to the setting of this value, different types of read and write operations or halt operation are performed. Okay, after that just see the pin number 30, that is ALE, address latch enable, it is the name of the pin. After that we are having pin number 31, 32. 31 it is given WR, so WR stands for write operation, and pin number 32 we are having labeled as RD, so that is read operation. So actually all these four pins, that is pin number 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 are actually related to each other. That is on the basis of S0 and S1 we perform the read and write operations. So all these four pins are connected with each other, mean they are having relation, because on the basis of value of S0 and S2 only we will perform the specific read or write operation. Then we are having at pin number 34 IO/M, input output memory. Then we are having 35, pin number 35, which is having label as ready. Then we have reset in, then we have CLK out, then we have HLDA, then we have hold HLDA, that is hold acknowledgement. So these two pins, pin number 13 and 38, are related to each other, and the last pin is nothing but the VCC. Okay, so these are the 40 pins, X1, X2, reset out, then we are having SOD, SID. Then there are all the interrupt related pins are there, like trap, RST 7.5, 6.5, 5.5, INTR, and the acknowledgement for the INTR, that is INTA. After that we are having AD0 to AD7 address buses, and after these address buses we are having ground connection at the pin number 20, that is nothing but VSS. Then we are having from the pin number 21 we will continue with the remaining address buses, that is A8 to A15. After A15 we are having some input and output related values. So we are having pin number S0. Above the pin number S0 we are having ALE pin. Above that pin we are having write operation related pin, then read operation, and then S1. And after that we are having IO/M, that is input output memory. Then ready pin is there, reset in. If you notice pin number 3 reset out is there, and pin number 36 we are having reset in. So definitely these two pins are interrelated only, but their position is not interrelated. Then we are having clock. As we all know that if you want to perform the communication or operations in synchronized manner, so we need clock. So that particular signal related to the clock will be given with the help of pin number 37. And then we are having, whenever we want to stop the execution in between, or whenever we want to pause the execution of a specific program, then in that situation we actually generate the signal at the pin number 39, that is hold. And once the system is ready, then a system will give us the acknowledgement, that is hold acknowledgement, that is pin number 38 HLD. And at the end, last pin number VCC, which is nothing but this particular pin is connected to the positive terminal of the IC. So I hope it is clear to you. This is your pin diagram. So about each and every pin now we are going to learn further. So first we are having X1 and X2 pin number. The X1 and X2 are connected to an external crystal or an RC or LC network which drives an internal circuitry of the processor. Internal circuitry means, as we all know that microprocessor which we are using, that is nothing but one of the system only which is having, other than 8085 microprocessor, we are having so many other processors also. Other than that also we are having some electronics components like diode are there, transistor are there. After that keyboard and output device like 7-segment display. All this circuitry has to communicate with each other while performing the specific operation to provide the proper output. So all these things are done with the help of pin number X1 and X2, which is connected to the external crystal or RC or LC network. which drives the internal circuitry of the microprocessor. It produces a suitable dock for the operation of microprocessor. Means environment, kind of environment it creates for the microprocessor, so that microprocessor will perform the operation properly. The frequency is internally divided by 2. Therefore, the crystal should operate twice the operating frequency. Basically, the X1 and X2 pins, which actually handle the internal circuitry, that is possible because they are carrying some signals, or they are carrying some current, or they are having some frequency, because of which the circuit will be balanced. So this particular frequency normally divided into 2 sections, and this is the reason why the same amount of we can say that the memory or same amount of charge we can use for to perform multiple operations. Okay, so totally depending upon the frequency which we provide through the pin number X1 and X2, on that frequency the operation will take place. The processing speed will definitely depend upon. So basically, if we consider the operating frequency of 8085 microprocessor, so it is 500 kilohertz to 3 megahertz. This is the operating frequency, means actually because of the frequency only it will perform the execution of the operations or instructions in a proper manner, in a proper speed. So this is our first pin, that is first 2 pins of 8085 microprocessor, that is X1 and X2. Then after X1 and X2 we were having, as we have seen in the previous diagram, we are having reset out pin. Okay, so this particular pin indicates that MPU is being reset. Basically, as we have seen in case of flip-flop, that we are having these 2 operations. Set means we can indirectly say that the system is ready for to perform specific operation, and reset means the previous data which is stored after setting the system, that will be reset. Means it will actually removing the old entries, and it is resetting the system so that it can be utilized in a new manner. So reset out basically indicates that MPU is reset. Okay, so it is connected to the peripherals to reset them when MPU is reset. So basically, reset means, as we are having one key on the microprocessor, that is reset key. So reset means it's a kind of refresh operation. We are refreshing the system so that we can use it in proper manner, or it will gives us a proper response when we enter the new inputs. Like we did with our cell phones, we are normally restart them, or we are having the logout session and again we log in, or again we start our phone. So that is nothing but we are resetting the system. Okay, so that will be performed with the help of reset out pin. Then we are having SOD. The 7th bit of the accumulator is outputted on SOD lines when SIM instruction is executed. Now actually here we have used SIM instruction. We are going to learn about this specific instruction in the chapter number 2, but now for current purpose you just need to remember that there is a SIM instruction, okay, which is fire, and when we fire this particular instruction, then the 7th bit of the accumulator, as we all know that accumulator is total 8 bit system, right? 8 bit register is there. So the 7th bit of this particular accumulator is outputted on the SOD when we set the SIM instruction. So SOD line eliminates the need for an output port in the software control serial input output. So normally, because of it is actually related to SOD is related to the output mode only, so we don't need to eliminate the output ports. Means we don't require the output ports to display the output because of this particular pin, because in the accumulator only you will get to see the output. So we don't need special output port just to display the result of the current operation, okay, or the output of the SIM instruction. So that is SOD pin. Then we have trap. Just trap, as I told you previously only, we are having different types of interrupts. Interrupts are nothing but unwanted conditions, or in programming language as we are having the errors, like that we are having interrupts in microprocessor. So we are having different types of interrupts, like software interrupts are there, hardware interrupts are there. In that also we are having maskable, non-maskable interrupts. So all this pin now which we are going to learn, that is we are having trap, then RST 7.5, RST 6.5, RST 5.5, INTR, INTA, all these pins are related to the interrupts only. Okay, so the first pin, that is trap pin, this signal is used to interrupt the microprocessor. Means whenever we want to interrupt the microprocessor, we will set this particular, or we will send the input to this particular pin, that is trap pin, and this is the highest priority interrupt. Means whenever trap interrupt occur, we have to resolve that interrupt as soon as possible, or if there are other interrupts along with the trap, so trap is having highest priority, so the trap interrupt will be solved first, and then we will move to the other remaining interrupts. So this is one of the highest priority interrupt of microprocessor. So when an interrupt is recognized, the next instruction is executed from a fixed location in the memory, that is 0024. So basically what happened when we fire this particular type of interrupt? So when we fire such type of interrupt, it will stop the current execution of the program, where whichever memory location we are having, we will simply jump from that memory location to the memory location 0024. So whatever instruction which is present at the memory location 0024, that will get executed because of trap. Means it will stop the execution of the current program and it will jump to the instruction which is present at the memory location 0024. So this is the functioning of the trap interrupt. Then we are having next pin number, and it is one of, as I told you, we are having maskable, non-maskable. So this is the non-maskable interrupt trap. It is unaffected by any interrupt enable or mask. Unaffected means we are having interrupt enabled also. These are some pins which are we are going to learn further. So this particular interrupt is not affected because of the interrupt enable mask. Then we are having RST 7.5. RST stands for, it's not the reset, it stands for restart. So RST 7.5, this is restart interrupt. This signal again used to interrupt the microprocessor, and when this particular type of interrupt is recognized, then the instruction is executed from a fixed location in the memory, that is 7.5. Means it will stop the execution of the current program, and from the current memory location we will jump to the memory location 7.5, and from that memory location the execution will continue. So this is RST 7.5 interrupt, which is maskable interrupt. Okay, they cause an internal restart to be automatically inserted, and basically when we fire this particular type of interrupt or this particular type of interrupt occur, then in that situation our system will automatically restart. Means we don't need to restart the system, it will get automatically restored because of this type of interrupt. So we are going to have RST 7.5, 6.5 and 5.5. So all are nothing but the related to the interrupts only, and again it will stop the current execution and jump to the different memory location. Means now in case of RST 7.5, we will jump to the memory location 7.5. Like in case of RST 6.5, it will perform same operation like RST 7.5, but the difference is it will jump to the memory location 6.5, and then we are having RST 5.5. Again it will perform, or it will use to interrupt the microprocessor only, but it will interrupt the execution of the current program and it will jump to the memory location 5.5. So these three pins, RST 7.5, 5.5, 6.5, are nothing but the maskable interrupt only. Okay, and because of which the system, as the name, in the name we are having restart word, means it will definitely automatically restart the system. Okay, without pressing reset and all. So these are total 5, not actually we have seen total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 pins are already covered. So now how many are remaining? Still many more to go. So now we are moving to the next slide. Now sixth one, that is we are having INTR. As I told you, that is last last pin number, that is RST 7.5, but after RST 7.5 we are having 6.5, 5.5. So after 5.5 we are having the next interrupt pin, that is INTR, which is level trigger maskable interrupt. Trap was non-maskable. RST 7.5, 6.5, 5.5 are maskable, and again we are having INTR, which is maskable interrupt only. So they have given the full form also, INTR, that is interrupt request. The pin name INTR comes from interrupt request word, interrupt request input signal. So basically when we are inputting the some wrong input, in that situation only this particular type of interrupt is occur. So this is general purpose interrupt with the lowest priority. We are having highest priority for the trap and the lowest priority for the INTR. When interrupt signal is given on this particular line, the microprocessor execute interrupt acknowledge cycle to read the interrupt information from interrupting device. Basically when this particular type of interrupt occur, so what happens in the background? In the background, microprocessor normally execute the interrupt acknowledge cycle. Means indirectly, after INTR pin, if you see the next pin, that is number 7, INTA we are having. So INTA stands for interrupt acknowledgement. So when this particular interrupt occur, INTR, automatically this instruction or this pin again able to be enabled or disabled. Okay, because this particular pin will provide you the acknowledgement. So as we have discussed, when INTR interrupt occur, microprocessor executes the interrupt acknowledgement cycle by sending the or by setting the INTA pin. Okay, and because of which what will happen, it will read the information about the interrupt. That is, we will find out the exact reason why this particular type of interrupt occur. For that it will be helpful. So INTR is enabled or disabled by the software. With the help of software we can enable or disable. So it is one type of software interrupt only which is maskable. And INTA now just as we have seen, it is associated with the INTR only. Once the INTR signals is generated, or when we pass some value to this INTR pin, automatically INTA is going to get set just to show the acknowledgement related to the interrupt. So acknowledgement means whenever we are making some mistake, we got the acknowledgement. In acknowledgement we will get the exact reason that why this particular error occur. So same in case of microprocessor also we are having the same thing. Then next thing which we are, and one more point which is remaining about the INTA, a low INTA indicates that the processor has acknowledged an interrupt. If we are having very low value at this pin, then it means that the processor has acknowledged an INTR interrupt. Okay, means actually this particular type of signal is basically set when there is INTR interrupt. Then the next, after INTA we are having total 8 bus lines, that is from AD0 to AD7. So basically into round bracket what we have written after AD0 to AD7, multiple address / data bus, means these are the bus lines out of all those 16 address buses which we are using as a data bus as well as a address bus. And this is the reason why they have also called as multiple address, because AD0 to AD7, these are the address buses which we are using as a data bus as well as a address bus also. So that information they have given. The signal lines AD0 to AD7 are bidirectional. They serve a dual purpose. They are used as a low order address bus as well as data bus. The same thing which I have explained you. In executing an instruction during the earlier part of the cycle, these lines are used as a lower order address bus. So these are address buses, that is from the numbering AD0 to AD7, are also called as lower order, and the remaining bus lines, that is from AD8 to AD15, are called as a high order address bus. So these are the low order, and the next one which we are going to learn, they are high order address bus. Okay, high order address bus. During later part of the cycle, these lines are used as a data bus. However, the lower order address bus can be separated from this signal by using a latch. So basically there is a latch means there are total 8 latch, and when we are setting the latch, then these particular buses will act as a address bus, and we are resetting the latch, these same bus lines will act as a data bus. Like we are having on and off operation, so here also we will be having on and on off operation, just to use the same lines as a address as well as data bus. So these are AD0 to AD7, which are multiple address buses which act or which are used for a dual purpose. The next buses which we are having, that is A8 to A15. So as we all know that 8085 has 16 address line. So the most significant bits, that is A8 to A15 of the address bus, are separate. The least significant bit, A0 to A7, are time multiplex with the bits of bidirectional data bus D0 and D7. Actually the same thing they have told you, that is depending upon, as we all know that we are having some binary values. So in the binary values we are having some most significant bits and least significant bit, that is MSB and LSB. These two terms we have used. Okay, so whenever we want to set MSB value, that is most significant bit of any address, then we are making use of A8 to A15 to store that number or that value of the memory location. And whenever we want to store the lower order bits, that is LSB, if you want to set LSB of the address, then for that purpose we are making use of A0 to A7 bus lines. And these specific bus lines can be used to store data also. So whenever we are storing the data in the bus line A8 to A7, then they are called as data buses. So that time we will number them as a D0 to D7. So the 8 signal lines, that is A8 to A15, which are unidirectional and used as a higher order address bus. So in this actually point number 8 and 9, you just need to remember that AD0 to AD7 are multiplex address bus. This particular type of address buses are used as a address bus as well as the data bus, means they are used for a dual purpose. Okay, and they are nothing but the low order address bus. This much also if you are writing, then okay. And they are bidirectional in nature, that also you need to specify. Similarly, if you want to write down about A8 to A15 pin number, so in that situation you will write these are the list these are the high order address buses which are unidirectional in nature. Okay, and whenever we want to store the most significant bit of the address, that is stored inside this particular bus lines. So this much only you need to write. So I hope whatever pins which we have learned till now, that is clear to you. So now we are moving to the next slide. Again we are having so many pins. We are having total 40 pins, so 40 is not yet completed. So the next pin is hold, HOLD. It indicates that a peripheral such as DMA, direct memory access controller, is requesting the use of address and data buses. Basically, as we have discussed, that is we are using AD0 to AD7 as a data bus as well as address bus. We are using AD8 to AD15 as an address bus only. But when to use, or that decision, that is when we should use this particular bus line, that will be totally decided by the DMA, that is direct memory access, because basically we are storing the address. So address is nothing but the memory location. We are indirectly referring the memory only of the system. So DMA is a particular circuitry or the controller with the help of which we can access the memory. Okay, and that location is obviously stored on the address bus lines. So whenever we are using such type of peripherals, okay, so in that situation, whenever direct memory access controller wants to access certain memory, means suppose there is a normal execution is going on, and in between direct memory access wants some other location. So that time actually practically what we need to perform, we should stop the current execution and then we should entertain the request which is given by the direct memory access controller, right? So in that situation, whenever such type of we can say that attention direct memory access controller wants, so In that situation, direct memory access or this particular, that is hold interrupt, is set, because of which the system, that is microprocessor, will come to know that yes, now DMA wants to access such a type of memory, or wants to move or wants to use the address buses as a data bus. Like that, some information or signal will be given because of hold. And if the system is again ready to allocate the bus lines and all, then system will generate HLDA, generate the signal, and that will be given to the HLDA pin. So HLDA stands for hold acknowledgement. So again, these pins, that is hold and HLDA, are interrelated with each other. Means if we are setting the hold, then and then only HLDA will get set. That is again depending upon the microprocessor choice, whether it is ready or not. So that thing is there. So having a receive hold request, the microprocessor release the use of buses as soon as the current machine cycle is completed. Internal processing may continue. The processor regains the bus after the removal of the hold signal. So basically, normally what's happened in between, if DMA, that is direct memory access controller, wants to use the address buses and data buses, then it will generate the hold request. And when the microprocessor request hold request, then it will see to it that the current machine cycle should get completed. Means current instruction which we are executing, that should get complete, and then only we will move the control to the different bus lines as per the request of the direct memory access controller. And other processing of the system may continue. We cannot say that it may be stopped, it can be continued. And how much time this particular thing will continue? Till the time we are having the hold signal, till the time we are setting the hold signal. Once we reset the hold signal, definitely the microprocessor will perform the functioning or will continue with the normal execution of the next instructions. Okay. So again, next pin number which we are having, HLDA. It is a signal for hold acknowledgement. A HLDA output indicates to the peripheral that the hold request has been received and that the microprocessor will relinquish control of the buses in the next clock cycle. So from the HLDA, the direct memory access controller will come to know that yes, whatever request he has sent, that is received by the processor, and the processor definitely will give the control over the address buses and the databases as soon as possible. Okay. So when we remove the hold request, definitely this particular pin HLDA is again connected to the hold only. So that will again goes to low. Goes to low means as we are performing the off operation related to the fan. So like that only this will perform. Whenever we are removing the hold signal, after that automatically the HLDA signal will also goes to low. Means it will get off. Then the next pin which we are having, that is CLK. As I told you, it is related to the clock only. As we all know that if you want to perform the execution of the instruction in a synchronized manner, so in that situation we should have this particular pin which is connected to the clock actually of the microprocessor. So the same thing they have given, and actually depending upon this clock frequency, the speed of the operation is depend. So that these 2 points are given as a explanation about the CLK. So CLK stands for the clock. The whole circuitry is synchronized with the clock, and the speed of the system depends upon the clock frequency. So this particular pin is connected to the clock. Okay. The next pin number is reset in. When the signal on the pin goes low, the program counter is set to 4 times 0. Okay. So whenever we are resetting in, that is resetting the input signal, that time the program counter will contain the memory location 4 times 0. Normally program counter, what is use of program counter? Program counter holds the address of the instruction which is to be executed next, right? So after resetting this particular signal, we are setting the program counter as a memory location 000, means there is nothing to execute in simple word. So particularly the buses are tri-stated. Whenever we are having, it means we are not having anything na. So buses are tri-stated means if we are having set, if the buses are set means they are carrying something. If there is set means the circuitry is on, everything is going on, but buses are not having some data. And the next state, which is actually idle, means they are not doing anything, means they are not doing carrying the data, as well as there is no other processing also. So tri-stated. So that particular, basically all the buses are tri-stated, means they are not actually functioning, they will remain idle. And microprocessor unit is held in a reset condition as long as reset is applied. Okay. So it also resets interrupt enable and HLDA flip flop. Basically because of reset in, everything will get stopped, means there will not be any functioning will be performed by the microprocessor. For that purpose we are having reset in, we are resetting everything. Okay, so we have to write the program newly so that it will work, and again we have to start the execution. So that particular thing is there, and again reset interrupts is also enabled because of the reset in signal. Then the next pin which we are having, that is ready pin. It is an input signal used by the microprocessor to sense whether a peripheral is ready to transfer data or not. If we are setting the pins, it means that the microprocessor is ready. Okay, so for that purpose, ready means a microprocessor is ready to receive the data as well as send data. So for that purpose we are having ready. So normally whenever we start the system only, the microprocessor is in ready state only. Okay, so ready, this is nothing but an input signal used by the microprocessor to sense whether a peripheral is ready or not. Sorry, microprocessor not, peripheral is ready or not. Means keyboard and other input devices are ready or not to transfer the data. This signal is used to delay the microprocessor until a slow responding peripheral is ready to send or accept the data. Basically everything is done by the microprocessor, but as we all know that we are having input and output devices. These are nothing but the peripheral devices. One kind of input output devices are there, but they are one kind of peripheral devices. So whenever we provide the input with the help of keyboard, then and then only the next functioning or the operation will be performed by the microprocessor. So they should be ready to send the data, then and then only it will be possible. The same thing we are having, if the peripherals are responding in very low speed, then microprocessor has to delay the operation or slower the operation according to the input speed. If ready is high, the peripheral is ready, means always we should have the value of this pin to high. If it is low, the microprocessor wait for an integral number of clock cycle until it goes high. So whenever we want to perform any input output operation, this particular pin has to be set to very high. And basically it is used synchronize slower peripheral to faster microprocessor. So if all the peripherals are working synchronously, then and then only microprocessor will be able to perform the function faster. Otherwise what will happen, we have entered the input is immediately sent to the processor, but it is giving us a output after 1 hour 2 hour, means the peripherals or the systems are not working in a synchronized manner. Then the next pin which we are having, that is IO/M. I have already told you the full form of this particular pin, that is input output memory. It is a status signal, indicates whether the address bus is for input device or output device or for memory. Means as we have address bus lines, and as we all know that the bus lines are connected to all the components which are present in a microprocessor system. So basically whenever we want to perform operations, like from the input we are providing some signal, so that time what will happen, the microprocessor bus lines should be connected to the input output port, then and then only they will be able to receive the data which is entered. Or suppose if you want to perform any fetch operation, that is microprocessor wants to take data from the memory, so that time also we are making use of bus lines only to carry that particular data which is stored in the memory. So whether we want to work with the input output devices or the memory, that is totally depend upon the IO/M. So when it goes high, whenever the IO/M pin is set to high, the address on the address bus referring input output devices, means we can say that the address bus lines are nothing but the connected to the input output devices. And when it goes low, whenever we are having the value of this pin to low, normally high and low means it is 1 and 0. Okay, so if it is low, then the address on the address bus referring memory, means we are trying to fetch the data from the memory. In that situation, the IO/M will be low. So this thing you should remember, that is input output signal indicates that whether the address bus are used for input output port or they are used for the memory. So when they are high, it means the address bus or address on the address bus referring input output devices, and if the value of this signal is low, it means the addresses on the address bus is referring the memory. Okay, so basically it is tri-stated during the hold and halt. So whenever hold and halt interrupt will occur, or whenever hold signal is having the high value, in that situation this particular pin will be tri-stated, means it is not on, it is not off, it is basically idle for long time. So input output memory. The next pins which we are having, that is S1 to S0. These are status signal. As I told you, that is we will perform actually 4 operations are there which are performed by the processor. First one is read operation, then we are having write operation, then we are having halt operation. Now just in previous slide we are having one sentence, that is it is tri-stated during hold and halt. So hold and halt, these are the operations, and these operations are performed when we are setting the value of pin number S0 and S1. So just see the table. If you are having S1 0, S2, and actually it's not S2, it should be S0. S1 is 0 and S0 is 0, then halt operation is performed. Means both the value are 0, we are not performing anything, so halt operation. If we are having 0 1 combination, then we are having write operation. If we are having 1 0 combination of the value of the pin number S1 and S0, then we are performing read operation. And if we are performing fetch operation, means if we are trying to get some data from the memory, in that situation S1 and S0 are set to 1 1. Okay, both the values are 1 1. So basically these are the S actually stands for the signals only, status signal. So these are the status signals sent by the microprocessor to distinguish the various operations or the type of machine cycles in progress. So these are actually basically 4 operations, or we can say that status code. S stands for status code, which we are using to perform different operations. So after S1 and S0 we are having the next pin, that is RD and WR. So definitely as we are setting the value of S1 and S0, on the basis of that value only the read and write operation is going to get performed. So these RD stands for read control signal and WR stands for write control signal. And RD is a active low signal, both are active low signal only. This signal, RD signal, indicates that selected input output or memory devices is to be ready and data is available on the data bus. And write operation means the data on the data bus are to be written into the memory. Reading means we are reading the data from the memory. So means we are performing the fetch operation. Because of fetch operation, the data is present on the data bus which we are going to read. And in case of write operation, what will happen? The data is present on the data bus, but that is moving from the input to the memory. Means we want to send, we want to write means we want to save the data into the memory. So that is nothing but the write operation when we are trying to save the data in the memory. So these are the 2 pins, RD and WR, and the last point is again common. First and last point are common, that is it is tri-stated during the hold and halt signal or operation. Similarly WR is also again tri-stated when we are performing hold and halt operation. So again almost most of the point except the second point, the remaining 2 points about the RD and WR are common. So just remember that only. We will be having one more mark question on each and every pin. So you should explain at least 2 points about each and every pin. Then you will get the 1 mark. So now we are having 2 common points. So if you are writing both the common points, again you will get 1 marks, no problem. If you are not writing the second point. And actually it is not difficult to remember the second point, because RD is nothing but read operation. We are reading means what? We have already fetched the data from the memory. From the memory we are fetching means we are storing the data on the data buses. And data buses makes that data available to us for the read operation. Similarly, writing means what? We have written some data on the data buses. And now we want to write, that is we want to store that data inside the memory. So that is write operation. So these are the 2 operations. Then the next thing, that is ALE, address latch enable, next pin. It is one special output signal generated by the microprocessor to indicate the beginning of operation. Just whenever we want to indicate that we have just started the operation, we are making use of ALE. It is again enable. Latch enable means this is one kind of flip-flop which can be set and reset to perform the specific operation. So it is positive going pulse generated during the first clock cycle of machine state, and it indicates that the bits on the AD7 to AD0 are address bits. Okay, so basically again when we are making use of address buses and the data buses, this is again one of the important pin which is set. Means if we are having address latch enable which is set to high, that time we are making use of AD7 to AD0 address buses. This signal enables the lower 8 bit of address bus. Lower means AD0 and AD7 are the lower bit address bus, and AD8 to AD15 are higher order address bus. Okay, so now in this situation we are more focusing upon the AD7 to AD0 address bus only. This particular signal enables the lower 8 bit of the address from the multiplex bus to latch into external flip-flop or peripheral devices after AD0 to AD7 changes over the data bus. So ALE is never tri-stated. This particular pin is not tri-stated. Read and write, these two pins are always tri-stated during the hold and halt operation, and the one of the pin which we have seen in previous slide. ALE is never tri-stated. It can be either set or reset. That's it. So if we are having this particular pin as a set, so the first clock cycle means the first byte address of the address memory location will be stored inside the AD7 to AD0. Okay, and if we are having this particular signal enables the lower 8 bit to be multiplex, means if we are setting the ALE to true, or if we are setting the value of this particular latch to 1, means we are making use of address bus number AD0 to AD7 as a data bus. So whenever we want to use data buses to carry the data, that time we have to enable this particular latch.